got it. You did it. I guess because I gave you hostess, it kind of screwed up my ability to.
Yeah, you should have made me co-host, but
Well,
Trey's going to be the co-host today. Thank you for being here.
I started collecting screenshots. Okay, Peggy.
Okay.
Lorna, do you want to ask her to start? Lorna, usually, we got to unmute yourself.
Good morning and welcome to Great Tree Zen Temple. We're starting with an opening sutra from Peggy Rowe.
The Dharma is deep and lovely. We now have a chance to see it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning.
And now a short statement about Dharma. In Buddhism, when Zen practitioners share their understanding of the teachings and practice, it is offered freely as a practice of dana paramita. Dana is a Pali word that means generosity or to give freely, and this practice is done without expectation of getting something in return. This is the spirit about speaking of the Dharma. Other ways to practice Dana is to offer support to those who share the teachings, to support places of spiritual practice, and to give without judgment or expectation when opportunity arises. Those who share the teaching at Great Tree do so on a Dana basis. Please support their practice by giving what you can. And Peggy, do you have a preference for Dana?
Yes, Great Tree.
Thank you. To give to Great Tree, go to greattreetemple.org and follow the donate path. All right. Our speaker this morning is Peggy Rowe. She grew up in the lake country of Wisconsin and has a strong connection with the woods, lakes, and natural world. She has a doctorate in adult education and a master's degree in counseling psychology. She serves on the faculty of the graduate program in mindful leadership at Atlantic University. She has also studied and practiced with many wise Native American elders. In 1991, Peggy met Thich Nhat Hanh, becoming a lay minister with the Order of Interbeing in 1984 and an ordained Dharma teacher in 2000. She and Larry Ward joined him in the international exchange throughout the world and served as staff for 20 years. Welcome, Peggy.
Thanks, Lorna, and thanks, Great Tree. Thanks, Tejo, for the invitation. Great Tree is one of my root temples, and it's a wonder to be connected with y'all. I'm also thankful for my teacher, who I've been really sitting with as I prepare to be with you today. And I'm thankful that we have this freedom to be together. So I wanted to explore freedom because we've grown up with some confusion as a culture about what freedom is, in my view. I used to have an aversion to the American flag, and some of that was healed when my dad told me on the 50th anniversary after World War II my father finally started talking about the war. And one of the stories he shared was that when he returned from the war, first of all, he didn't think he would. He enlisted from university where he had a track scholarship. So he was put on an elite team. And out of the 30 some people on his team, only 2 survived. So when he landed back in the United States, the first time he saw an American flag, that did it for him. That flag represented that he got home, that somehow he was alive, and that he had to live for his whole group of friends. So somehow that triggered aliveness in him, although he came home with a lot of trauma, but it did trigger aliveness. And so when I sometimes taste my own aversion to the flag, I dip into my love for my dad and really try to touch into that experience he had with the flag that meant he was alive and that he could live for his friends. Incidentally, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer and he wouldn't quit smoking. And finally he said, I'm smoking for all of them. I said, who are you smoking for? All of them. I'm smoking for all my friends that can't have a cigarette, because that was one of the ways they connected with his Ranger unit. That's something. So I quit leaning on them about smoking too. So back to freedom. This week for me has been a teacher with freedom. The Supreme Court voting 6-3 to end affirmative action. Is that freedom? It is from some perspectives, yes, but certainly not from mine. I've learned about freedom from Buddhism, and I've learned about freedom from Thich Nhat Hanh. And I don't know if my upbringing taught me quite as much about freedom as has our Buddhist teachings, in particular Thich Nhat Hanh. I went into my Google research, since I don't have a library right now, to see what Katagiri Roshi had to say about freedom. And he didn't use the word that much. Thich Nhat Hanh did a lot. And Stepping into Freedom, which is the title for this talk, is a book title. And this particular book we call it Uncle Ty Wants You. And it was to encourage us all to become monastics. And for Thich Nhat Hanh, that was stepping into freedom, was to step into the monastic life. Again, very different than what we were brought up with in this US society, right? So I wanted to start with some of the symbols and images of freedom, just symbols with this PowerPoint. There's no words on it, but the title. And I want you to settle in with your body and see what you notice, because we're going to start with the outside with freedom, and then we're going to go in with Thich Nhat Hanh teachings with freedom. Okay, so if someone can help me launch the PowerPoint. Oh, yay. Okay, how does it become full screen? In your screen, as it shows like part of the screen. Is Trey busy working? We're getting there. Okay. Whoops, it's gone. It's gone. We were close. We're
working on it.
Okay, thank you.
So far. We disappeared. We didn't intentionally.
Okay,
Oh, there we go. Okay, it's coming. Oh,
it's coming.
Sorry. It
okay.
disappeared.
You gotta take that out.
Jay, this is the only
Now
thing
we
that
have
made me
the screen
nervous
share
about
to do
today.
down here.
It's
Can
easy
you-
for me to
you
talk
have
to you, but to
cover it.
use technology is a
yeah.
stretch. Okay, this is
Okay,
why.
so you can't get it bigger until, oops, where'd that go?
Oh, I think, and then share screen here,
Oh, is it shared?
and then
Okay,
how's this?
can you see it?
Yeah, it's not the full screen, but it's better than nothing.
You might be
Well,
able to get a full screen. Just so. see, oh, shoot, I think you have to do full screen before you. do
Before
that.
you share it.
No, not before you share it, it's after you share it, but, well, sorry. Just a sec.
Well, you're doing better than I.
I'm not used to working with PowerPoint, but that shouldn't matter, should, you see, it's up here.
Mm,
Okay, so we have to unshare first,
mhm.
but how can we get it back?
Back this way.
Oh, okay. And then we do view. Oh, it says
Oh.
exit full screen, so it's already in full screen.
It's a good thing there's 6 of us. You help me relax.
Oh, let's take this out of here, just a,
Uh,
how can we
It
make it?
takes a sangha.
maybe, okay.
Can
If
I-
you go back to it,
Let me, oh, no, I don't want to click Google Chrome, do I?
no, if you click back on that and maybe open with
Open it.
Google Slides. maybe?
Okay, try that. Except we're not on share screen now.
No, but maybe this will full screen.
Okay, sorry.
I am too. My apologies.
I guess we should have done a little work on this beforehand.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
okay, good. Oh, good.
I think.
Now if we can just
we
screen share.
slideshow. It's loading.
It's loading. Oh, good.
Okay.
Well, we've got a full screen now. Oh, good. Good job.
Are we there?
Got it?
Yay!
Okay.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you,
group effort
Cheda.
There.
Now, does this mean you'll have to change the slides for me, right?
Yes.
So I'll so I'll say yes when we need to change the slide. How's that? So
Okay.
yes.
Oh, change it. You change it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there it went.
Yes. So wanted to explore freedom. And I really want you to explore with your body, not just the image. So got some images we're going to show and just take a breath. So yes. Just notice this one. I was looking for a picture of the last day of school. I don't know if you can recall that, especially as a kid when the school's out for summer. Yes. Is recalling this moment. Is this freedom? We're just exploring it, what you notice. Yes. 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 This was a picture a friend took in Idaho. Seeing what is there. Yes. This is a friend's daughter. She wore the pearls on purpose. Wear shoes, lady. There's glass everywhere. This was when they were studying in grade school about the glass ceiling. Yes. 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 Larry and Sister Peace and myself reflecting on the freedom of masks. Yes. 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 Oh, we missed Charlie. Oh, Charlie was the dog. Yeah. Huh. Oh, get it. Guess it got sticky. Okay. There. Oh, there's Charlie. This was his smile after he had 5 teeth removed. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And keep noticing your body. Yes. I think we're just about. Oh, yes. Yes. Interesting how they kind of flash. Yes. Let's go. Yes. 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 Okay. And we'll just stop the PowerPoint for now. It seems to be quite psychedelic today, but we'll come back at that place. If I can go back to full screen, yes. Wow. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, Trey and Tejo. So I wanted to see if you could put in the chat any images I missed of freedom that you might like to add. And anything you noticed, did any of the images grab you in particular? Any of them about what freedom might be? The chat's on the bottom. Anything you noticed? No inhibitions from Great Tree. The one with the rock formation at the opening, the top. The joy. Thank you, Trey and Chejo. Hands absorbing totally, huh? Good student of the Buddha, the woman with her hands in gasho evoked a certain calm, not excited, just a quiet. Guess we could have even done this out loud, but such a small family today. Sorry about that. We'll try that next time. Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time to notice and capture something. I was wanting to just explore the symbols of freedom without getting into the patriotism that has surrounded the 4th of July and the music. I have a client that's was born in China, and I asked if she was going to do something about the 4th of July, and she said, no, she's too loud, hate the music. Hate the music. It was John Philip Sousa. Anybody here like John Philip Sousa? I thought I had to laugh at that. Okay, here's something here. Using all of them, using all of themselves, quiet and movement. Thank you. Yeah. So we've been brought up with notions of freedom that have been freedom for some and not necessarily freedom for all. Right now, there's an extraordinary amount of states that agree that, forget what they call the law, that if you're scared, you can shoot someone. Where we live, it's okay to carry firearms everywhere. And people actually, when I've gone into places, have asked if I have a firearm in my purse. So these are some of the freedoms that we've had from the outside that we've in some cases fallen under the spell of what freedom is. We have a notion of free speech that even when I was in 6th grade, I didn't understand how hate could be free. How could that free? So on the outside, on this day of stepping into freedom, we have some of these things going on. Again, our current context is some of the legislation on ending over 50 years of affirmative action in our country. Well, let's go to Thich Nhat Hanh. And Ty, who used the word a lot, again, was very strong in terms of freedom is from our vow. And that has really served me, continues to serve me through my life, that freedom is a vow, and the Bodhisattva vow he saw as the greatest gift of freedom that we could give ourselves and give our society. And he saw the Bodhisattva vow as our true career and our true calling, and that he's encouraged us to never be concerned about what our work in the world was, because we had our career and we had the freedom of that career as with the Bodhisattva vow. He used to say, breathe as a free person, sit as a free person. I hope you can feel that as you sit and you breathe in this moment, that you can breathe as a free person and sit as a free person. He said, freedom is nirvana, and nirvana is freedom. So often when he'd translate nirvana, it was freedom. Occasionally he said nirvana was letting go. Freedom is the monastic life. That's something I've come to appreciate. At first, it didn't look that way with 347 precepts. more, there's more than 100 extra for the sisters than the brothers. That never seemed quite as free to me. But as I've practiced deeper, I can see and feel and experience the freedom in having strong vows that anchor our heart in the safety of that. So freedom to me is kind of mixed up with safety. Freedom is possible with each breath. Freedom comes from right view. And then in the next breath, he said, all views are wrong views. So freedom comes from no view. Freedom is every step on our path. So the primary teaching that he went over and over and over with connected to freedom is where I wanted to focus today. And he always begins it every now and then. Buddha, Thich Nhat Hanh disagreed with the Buddhist teaching, very rarely, but then he was really clear. Like he added to pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, he added that there are mixed feelings. Which I think that was one of the times he added to the Buddhist teachings. But the teachings that I wanted to share come from the Buddha, and he was in Sarvasti, and he was there quite some time, and the Buddha did, and met with different groups and sanghas and meditation retreats and families. He spent quite a bit of time with this teaching, and every single group that he was with, he spoke to about having refuge with an island within ourselves. The Buddha in the teaching said that we can all discover our island within us. And to discover our island, it requires safety, calmness, a quiet space where we're not disturbed and we're protected. He was really clear that the island is not found in space, but the island is within us. And this was the main teaching that Thai offered with freedom. And so we're going to go a little deeper with Thai's teaching stories with freedom. We have a song, breathing in, I go back to the island within myself. So breathing in, I go back to the island within myself. So in Thai's journals, I'm going to read a little bit from a journal we had. Must have been about 50 years ago that he was on a silent retreat in northern France. He was given a small hermitage or a hut for his solo retreat. It was in a beautiful forest. The first day that he was on his own was dry and sunny, and he went into the forest. And he took some rice and water with him and took some tea. And he did sitting meditation, walking meditation. He spent the day in the forest. He ate slowly his rice and slowly his tea. And at about 3 o'clock, he noticed that the clouds had gotten dark. So he rushed back to his hut. Well, I don't think he rushed back. I added that. Thai never rushed. When he got back to the hut, he'd left all the windows open, and it was a mess. And my teacher really liked things Zen. He really liked things clear and clean. He didn't like things messy. When he did impromptu visits to the hermitages, you'd hear the brothers and sisters shoving things under their bed. That was like quickly they'd all shove things under the bed because he liked things neat. So I remembered I'd left the windows open to capture the fresh breeze. Instead, when I returned to my hermitage, it was not so pleasant. All of my papers had blown everywhere. It was cold, miserable, dark. There was disorder and mess everywhere. I closed the windows. I closed the door. I started a fire. I cleared up the papers. I stacked them on a table and I put a brick on the stack. I tidied up. Now it was pleasant and toasty. I toasted my fingers over the fire and I enjoyed the sounds of the wind and the rain outside the door. So this is his teaching on finding the island of self. We have to close the door and the windows. There are 6 windows: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. We come home to the island of self. This is freedom. First, we have to stop. 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 Shut the windows. The winds are coming. Shut the door. Make a fire. Feel warm and comfortable. Breathe. Rearrange the scattered feelings and emotions. Tidy up. Go home. Don't run. There is freedom on your island of self. Transform your interior world to cozy and pleasant. Everyone has a hermitage within. And now I'd like to go back to the slides. And oh boy, here we go. Yay. Okay, good one to begin. This is in Kyoto, the Golden Pavilion. This was taken from by a friend of mine. I was looking for images of a hermitage. This kind of captured it. Yes, next slide. Maybe I should just give up, huh? Oh. Oh, we got the cat. Oh. It won't go forward from there, huh? It's going backwards. Backwards. There. Island of self. Island of self. I was looking for some images of island of self. Again, we're looking at something that's in our interior. Next slide. Yes. And the tidy up. I'm sorry, this is just a woman on this slide. I tried to find cleaning shots that didn't have just women, but I liked the clean space that it left. The Bodhidharma teachers have a lot about tidying up our interior. And Thich didn't put a lot of emphasis on this, but it's key. And his recognition with this story that sometimes when we go back to the island of within, it's a little messy. And we've got some cleanup work to do on our interior. Next slide. Yes. Yeah, this one in particular has been helping me, or this kind of image. One day I was sitting with myself and I didn't feel so free. And I had this image that reminded me of like a party from college where there were drinks all over the place or empty cups and lots of old pizza boxes. And I had to laugh at myself because I had left old pizza boxes. I hadn't been even eating pizza, but to me, it was such a symbol of cleaning up my interior space. So yeah, this one I got for the pizza boxes. Next, yes, Les, Yes. Yes. Yeah, there we go. And cleaning the windows of perception. Cleaning the windows. And I don't know if Katagiri Roshi had more to say about the windows, but this was closing down the sense doors and cleaning things off. And some of the cleaning, like this week, has been the political climate in the United States for me. To find peace in my interior, I had to clear some of that off to remember the safety and the protection and freedom that lives within. Yes. Okay, we're back to the island. This was me trying to come up with the island of self. Looks pretty exotic. That's not a hut, is it? Yes. Yes, another one of the island of self. I had a client years ago that had a dream, and she had a kind of a habit of choosing the wrong person to be in relationship with. And she came in one day with a dream, and she said, I had a dream. She said, I was given this island to care for my whole life. It was a very small and beautiful island. And all I needed to do was time to time rake the beach and pick up any flotsam that was on it and clear it off. And just, I had this assignment to take care of my island. And from time to time overhead, there would be a loud airplane. And I could notice sounds from up above of what she called the heavy duty dude God war. There was a heavy duty dude God war. And from time to time, one of the heavy duty dude gods would fall onto my island. My job was to support, but to make sure he got off my island. And that was kind of her teaching on the heavy duty dude God wars that has stayed with me for over 30 years. What's on my island that doesn't need to be there? Yes. This is the closest I came to a Sangha shot. The Sangha is there. We still have our island, but the Sangha is there. Yes. I think that might be the last one. Oh, yes. I think I wanted to end with a picture of my teacher. Oh, no, another Jizo. Oh, we're going back and forth. I love this because look at his joy at just being with his cup of tea. Look at how he's holding it. And that, to me, he would talk about drinking tea as a free person. This is back to freedom. And the next one, yes. I think I ended with Jizo. I was crazy about this Jizo. Really crazy about this Jizo. Notice the lipstick and the nail polish and the hat and the bib. Look at that face and that smile. Okay. I think that's the end of the slideshow. Whew, thank you, Tejo. Thank you, Trey. Okay. So I wanted to, share Thai's teachings on the island within as being our practice of freedom. And the images of shutting the doors and closing the windows and tidying up. And then being with our island. And for me, and Sachin helps me tidy up my island. I retreat. Sometimes longer practices, sometimes a 5-minute breath, sometimes it takes more. But I wondered from you folks, if anybody wants to share now, you can unmute yourself about your inner island or about freedom. I'd like to hear how you come home, how you experience freedom. And anybody in the Zoom room? Yeah, Tejo.
You know, that picture of Thai drinking tea really awakened something in me. in the past year, somewhere along the line, all of a sudden it clicked for me how wonderful it is to meet someone over a cup of tea. And I kind of vowed to myself that everyone that walked in the door was going to sit down and have a cup of tea. And it hasn't worked 100% because some people just don't want to. They just want to get on with whatever's happening. But, you know, the freedom in holding a cup of tea, what struck me with Thich Nhat Hanh is I thought, wow, you know, he did that a lot. And still that freedom was always there. And I thought that's because that's what the cup of tea is, especially when you're having it with someone else, but just taking the time to have a cup of tea and appreciate the taste of the tea and just being with everyone. And this is what they do in Japan all the time. You walk in the door and you get a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. That's what you do, you know, and you don't question it. In this country, you know, if you say to someone, would you like to have some tea? They might say no. But it's such a body, and it really does take you back to that island within. So thank you for bringing that up. This was really beautiful. Thank you for all the slides.
Thank you. Anybody else? Did you notice with freedom? I think we have time for one more or so. The island of self. Do you know your island? Trey. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the talk and the slides and the teachings, Peggy. I experienced coming back to that island of freedom, coming to Great Tree this morning and being here. I think this week I feel like I've been very chaotic and I've been very kind of just attuned to the world and the outside and not so much attuned to the inside, and haven't really found much stillness, I think, this past week. I'm just working a summer camp and just kind of been very alert. And so returning to Great Tree this morning, I was returning to stillness in a way, I feel, and sitting here and drinking the tea with Tejo and getting to sit and be here for this talk. So thank you.
Thank you, Trey.
I do have a question. I don't know if now's the time. I'm wondering if you can help me understand better the closing the windows, because I think I'm a little confused in my head. I think of this opening versus closing, and how can we, because the way I'm thinking about it is opening to the world, but I think I feel what you're saying, the closing, and I'm confused at the same time.
No, it's okay. To me, it's about the inner vision and going on the adventure into our interior and using our inner vision as I see it, and just kind of stopping the world a little bit, just to stop and to come home. And that coming home can take a second or it can take longer. I don't know if that helps any, but it was about the versus the outer versus the inner. And that I'm still learning from this too. So that's where I'm at right now. Somebody else might have another way of seeing that.
I was thinking when you were talking about that, about when I first met Thich Nhat Hanh in 1983, when he came to teach us at Tassajara. And my understanding from what he told us was that at that time, Plum Village was available to people who were part of the peace movement, who needed to get away from all of the craziness that a movement causes.
Right.
And I've always gotten the impression from him that, and when you were talking about that, it made me feel like he recognized that he needed to not just be pushed around by the outside world, or not be just drawn into that chaos that Trey was talking about.
Yes.
But to go within, and sometimes you just have to have to remember that and not let all that storm from outside invade you in such a way that you just bring more chaos.
Exactly. Yeah, as I see the Lokavati Sutra about the winds. And so that's just coming back to equanimity. And I know, like in the early retreats, Ty was real clear. He didn't want us to write or read.
Mm,
And I think it was connected to that. And later on, he loosened up a little bit on that. But even though all the monastics were taking notes on us talk, he'd always say, don't write, don't read, just settle in and just let all that go, all those images and stories from the outer world and the week that was. And
yeah, and that was the first thing he told us when he started teaching us. He taught us for 10 days. He said,
Mhm.
don't write any of this. And I remember just having such a hard time to not write things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was about closing the sense organs, but using the senses here. And then, of course, all that informs us. How am I going to be in this world that isn't free? How am I going to be in this world? Can I find the equanimity in myself, even if it isn't free out there? So I don't know that. Anybody else? What?
Yeah, thank you.
Lorna, David, Ann. You're stuck because there's a small classroom. Ha ha ha. How have you practiced with freedom this week? No. Okay. That's fine. I don't like to force people. Well, Ty always did this to Larry. Larry used to be in the back of the room on a chair, and he would look for Larry and bring him up and ask Larry about stuff. It was so glad he didn't do it to me. I was like, oh my God, don't put me on stage, please. Yeah. Well, I hope this has given you something to practice with this 4th of July, this day of freedom. And I hope that there's an experience of inner freedom. And I always have that experience coming home to Great Tree. And I always have that experience having a cup of tea with Tejo. I always find that she makes tea better than I do. What is that? I don't know, but her tea tastes better. And I think it is that experience of someone that's truly present with you and present with the tea. And of course, she buys good tea. So thank you all for your support today. And thanks, Terry and Tejo. I'm sorry it was so messy. Zoom did some updatings and it used to be very easy. So I'll have to get a lesson from my tech support person, Matt. So blessings on you. And I think we do something at the end.
Okay.
Merit.
Yes, we'll give back the merit. You can be my echo. May the merit of this practice
May the merit of this practice
benefit all beings
benefit all beings
and bring peace.
and bring peace.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Peggy. This was really beautiful.
Thank you. It really was. And the pictures were just so important.
Good. Well, I sure spent some time trying to find some ones that captured it for me. And I didn't think I'd want to have too many of Thich Nhat Hanh. Anything else before we go?
I just want to mention that Peggy and I are talking about doing an in-person women's retreat in February. So put that on your radar, ladies. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you all. And I think I got it changed, Lorna, so you're the host now. So so I'm off the hook. Yes, I did that
I got it.
successfully. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Happy 4th of July.
Happy
You
4th of July.
Bye-bye.
I